Good afternoon, everyone. This is the third edition of Tech Tuesdays presented to you by the Canadian Securities Exchange right behind me here. Welcome today. We have gadgets and software as today's topic. We've got a great host of companies. We also have a great host, Mr. Mark Francis. If you come join me, those of you who have tuned in prior, you know Mark Francis. He's our Western Canadian rep for the Canadian Securities Exchange. Mark, thanks for joining us today. We've got a big group today. We've got a guest Q&A moderator. I don't want to waste any more of your time. Mark, it's your show. Tell us what's coming up today.
Thank you very much, James. From a hot day here in Calgary, we will run, by the way, every Tuesday starting 15 minutes after market close, typically 3 private companies each session, except for the first Tuesday of the month, we will run with 2 CSE listed companies. Coming up on the 4th of August, Better Life Pharma and Predict Medics. So our objective in running Tech Tuesdays is twofold. First, to help these technology companies with increasing traction to gain relevant visibility. And second, to help capital markets players by introducing interesting companies, focusing on whether the technology will have commercial traction and why, and also providing new knowledge of what is happening in innovation. For you as attendees, we do ask that you share ideas and your feedback with our presenters, including leads, possibly funding after due diligence, referral of someone with unique applicable expertise, or maybe even a potential strategic relationship. You can find their contact information on the chat board. With respect, we might all refrain from giving management advice unless we are truly experts in a company's particular field. And please don't treat them as marketing targets for services. Note our disclaimer. This presentation is for information only and is not a solicitation to make an investment in either shares or debt or to buy or sell stock. CSE and Mark Francis as session host, i.e. yours truly, make no representation about any of these companies. If you are interested in the investor pitch, please connect with the companies directly in order to get detailed information. So some housekeeping matters. You will note a red Reconnect tab at the top of the screen, your screen. If you lose audio, just click it and you will be reconnected. In the event there are technical problems, we may hit the restart, in which case there's no action required by you as the system will automatically reconnect everyone. We aim to run 45 minutes to 1 hour. The chat board may be utilized to ask serious questions. Please be clear as to whom your question is being addressed and don't clutter the chat board, please. We will try to get to your questions. Each company will have a 7-minute presentation with their PowerPoint. It's up to them to allocate their time, just as it is with money and funds. When you see my face appear, the company has 15 seconds to wrap up. After all companies have presented, we will move to a panel discussion with Q&A, this time moderated by Sean Peasman, whom I will introduce later. Today we have as presenters Simon Whitfield, CEO of Mastergard Enterprises, Carlyn Loncaric, CEO of VodaSafe, pop on and wave, and Mark Rabin, CEO of Portable Electric. So let's start with Simon Whitfield. Simon has over 20 years experience as a sales, market, and business development specialist in a variety of industries. He has exceeded benchmarks in every role through a strong focus on prospect development, marketing, and sales strategies, contract negotiations, and new product development. Simon.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you to Mark and the entire CSE team for the opportunity to present this afternoon. Good afternoon to you all. I'm excited to tell you about Masterguard and our product and technology development for our new M6NG immobilizer and our distracted driver Alert 3. A quick history on Masterguard. We've been operating for 18 years as a business focused on automobile and light truck immobilizers, selling our Canadian standard approved M6000 vehicle immobilizer. We have sold over 500,000 of our M6000 immobilizers with no reported successful theft attempts and exceeded gross revenues of $2.6 million per year. We have been part of 2 very successful theft prevention programs in Manitoba that reduced auto theft in that province by over 80%, and a pilot project in Colorado that reduced theft in that district by 35%. A second pilot project is scheduled to run later this year in Colorado. Vehicle, construction equipment, and cargo theft is reaching epidemic levels in North America, as you can see from some of the yearly stats on this slide, and it is continuing to rise. Vehicle theft costs over $9 billion, construction and equipment theft over $1 billion, and cargo theft costs the Canadian economy over $5 billion and the US economy over $35 billion. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen dramatic increases in vehicle theft crime in many cities across North America. Why an immobilizer as a tool to prevent theft? An immobilizer, like our M6000 product, cuts vital engine circuits when the engine is switched off to prevent movement. Simply put, it's the only true method of theft prevention, as it stops unauthorized movement of a vehicle or piece of construction equipment. Stolen vehicles are often driven in an erratic and unsafe manner on our streets by thieves who have no regard for rules of the road and cause dangerous situations for us all. There is no need to track or recover a vehicle or piece of equipment with an immobilizer installed, as it always stays exactly where it's parked. Our M6000 product is nearing the end of its life cycle, and we are updating the product to work with today's technology and market to create new opportunities for Mastergard. The M6NG immobilizer product and technology development will allow Mastergard to create the first vehicle security immobilizer in the market to be controlled via a web interface and operated from a mobile app. We will replace the traditional key fob with a mobile app. It will allow Mastergard to open new markets, capitalize on market trends, and develop a recurring revenue stream through the web interface. In an effort to diversify our company, we are also developing our Distracted Driver Alert 3 device to mitigate the consequences of distracted driving, which is also reaching epidemic levels and having a dramatic impact on us all. Distracted driving is a factor in about 4 million crashes each year, and 80% of collisions have some form of driver inattention as a contributing factor. Insurance companies and government jurisdictions are beginning to realize that education efforts alone are not preventing distracted driving. Our DA3 product is designed to protect you from the trailing distracted driver by warning them you are slowing down or stopping. It is a simple add-on product installed on your vehicle at the high mount brake light. When you step on the brake pedal, it causes the high mount brake light to pulse, grabbing the attention of the driver behind. There have been many studies performed on the effectiveness of flashing brake lights and the reduction in rear-end collisions that could come with just one more second of warning. We have a strong potential market for both the M6NG and DA3 products, as they are natural partners focusing on similar markets. The majority of our competitors in the vehicle theft market all focus on theft tracking and recovery after the vehicle has been stolen. We focus on theft prevention, stopping the vehicle from being stolen in the first place. Our DA3 distracted driver tool will have unique features and functions that provide a competitive advantage in the market. The potential market opportunity for both products includes government jurisdictions, police agencies, and insurance companies, the vehicle fleet and rental leasing industry, vehicles already on our streets, new vehicle dealerships, and the construction and cargo transport industries. We already have many expressions of interest and possible customers for both products, including many state jurisdictions and insurance companies listed in this slide. We will use a few key approaches to the market, including using our 18+ years of industry experience, channel markets, targeted advertising, and trade show participation. Our financial projections table here shows projected gross revenue and EBITDA in pessimistic, realistic, and optimistic sales projections. The market penetration in the optimistic case is less than 5%. As our product matures and we hit our bell curves in year 3, we will be looking to add products, diversify, and lead the market with new product innovation. Through our 18 years of industry experience and key personnel team, we are well positioned to capitalize on an evolving market. What's next? How are we moving forward? We are currently in a funding round of $750,000, which will allow us to complete our product and technology development, commercialize, and launch to the market both the M6NG and DA3 products. We would close at $250,000, which will allow us to complete the product and technology development, but we would need a further tranche to reach commercialization and product launch. We have a full investment deck available for anyone who is interested. Thank you for the opportunity to tell you a little bit about Masterguard and our new products today. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Simon. And now, Carlyn Loncaric. Carlyn has a master's degree in microelectronics engineering from Simon Fraser University and over 10 years lifeguarding experience. After working 4 years at a biomedical startup, she decided to take the plunge into entrepreneurship and developed Aqua, a handheld scanning sonar device. Carlyn.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today. And I'm excited to tell you a bit more about Aqua. Before I get started, I know I can't ask you to raise hands, but I'd like for anyone who has kids or nieces, nephews, grandkids, anybody who's looked after a little one, to try to remember a time when you may have lost sight of them. So you might have been at a park or a grocery store or a busy mall, but just that one moment in time where you didn't know where they were and how that felt. And if you don't have kids, try to imagine what that instant in time might feel like. So now imagine you're on a beach. A lot of people doing this these days, perfectly sunny day, everything's going wonderfully until it isn't. Did you notice the missing boy? So drowning happens fast, incredibly fast, in the blink of an eye. And the water is an incredibly dark place to search. It's so difficult in many regions in North America. If you put your hand out in front of you, you can barely make out your fingertips. So trying to find a child in that environment is really difficult. And every second counts. You've got about 5 minutes to reach a child before the onset of brain damage. So our plan is to get out there as fast as we can to help as soon as possible. Now, our current rescue methods are take way too long to deploy. They're really archaic, they're really prone to error, and we can do so much better, which is why we've developed Aqua. So Aqua is a handheld scanning sonar device. Now, although we want to get to rescue, which means having Aquas everywhere in the hands of lifeguards and rescuers and at camps, and even for everybody spending time on or near the water as a family, we needed to start first with the professionals. We're following the same path as the AED or the portable defibrillator. So we're starting with police and fire and search and rescue. Unfortunately, in their line of work, they're normally there after the time of rescue. So a lot of their work is around recovery, but we're still making really big impact with those organizations right now. So Aqua successfully located a drowning victim when all other conventional methods failed. We had one of our customers in Texas attend an event where a bunch of people were on a boat having a party. One person left to catch his Uber, and unfortunately he slipped and fell into the water. His friends tried to get to him, but the water there is what they call black water. There's zero visibility. So the police came down and they searched for about 16 hours over 2 days without any luck. Our customer finally heard about what was going on, showed up with an Aqua, and within 5 minutes they'd recovered the subject. And they were able to bring closure to that family and get those rescuers out of an actually very dangerous environment. So our value proposition when you're looking at costs is pretty substantial. The piece of equipment they were using that day, the side scan sonar, is usually on the range of $100,000. And when you look at the hourly costs of the boat costs, if they're using planes or helicopters, basically after 2 hours of using Aqua, you've covered your costs. So to many organizations, it's extremely beneficial because they can equip several people with this device rather than having one that they have to share around the really large unit. So we're tackling the market in several different ways. One is through our distributor, the Life Saving Society. So they're known by the WHO as the experts in drowning prevention. They sell product worldwide. They teach programs worldwide on drowning prevention, swimming, and education. So they're a really great, been helping us to kind of break down that barrier into those markets that don't know about us yet, but they trust Life Saving Society because they've been around for more than 100 years. We are working on direct sales locally and across Canada, as well as into the States in different organizations with search and rescue and fire. And now we're getting into police. And we're also offering a maintenance program. So many organizations, when they buy equipment, they need it to be serviced every single year. It's a really great way to keep the customers coming back for new software upgrades, as well as battery replacement and different things that they need to keep their product kind of ready to go. So looking at our initial market, as I mentioned, we're going to tackle those first kind of low-hanging fruit of search and rescue and first responders, as well as camps and lifeguards in North America. We plan to go international next year, and we're also now looking into that commercialization product, whereby every family who has a cabin or goes RVing or spends time on or near the water would have one of these devices, the same way you have an earthquake kit, that device you never want to use, but you never want to be without. So go to market, a lot of it is about education and awareness. So many people don't know about our product, and they also don't understand how dangerous drowning is, how easily it happens, and how often it is occurring. So we're working on several digital marketing campaigns to get the news out there. We have seen, because of COVID-19, an increase already of 46% in the number of drownings happening in North America. People are tired of following rules. They've been cooped up. They have less money to spend to go elsewhere. They're also seeking out private places to swim to stay away from others. So many police and fire departments are reporting like at least a 50% increase in calls they're getting already to date. And Life Saving Society is more on tackling police and fire and camps. There are some lifeguarding organizations that are extremely busy, so we're working with those groups to budget for this year as well as for next year when they believe they'll be up and running. And we're working mostly on our search and rescue contacts here in Canada. So last year we launched our first product, just about $400,000 in revenue. We anticipate a flat year this year. Unfortunately, because of COVID-19, many changes have happened with most 90% of camps closing as well as beaches. But what we're planning on doing is gaining traction within those higher organizations of police and fire. And that way our product will then become a trusted entity by the time next year people have budget. You can also see as our EBITDA is going down and up as we're starting to work on our second and third products as we go. So these are some of the milestones we're planning on hitting. There is a military Aqua. It's not necessarily for military, but it is a product that we've been developing with Coast Guard and military work in mind, as well as an app. So a lot of organizations have asked for data collection and can we store data and can we send data? So we're working on developing that SaaS model and having a prototype ready by the end of 2021. And the consumer version is something that will come a little later down the line. Less R&D involved in that because it's more simplifying what we have to date and redoing packaging. But we do plan on reaching as many individuals who spend time on and near the water. Just a quick look at the team. We're small and mighty, but we have been fundraising. So far raised $1.44 million to date with a goal of 1.5 this year to get us runway through to the end of 2021. Thanks.
Thank you, Carolyn. And our last presenter, Mark Rabin, Portable Electric. Mark managed $250 million in drilling operations throughout Western Canada before making the switch to renewable energy in 2013. Having previously founded a distributed power startup in Africa, he launched Portable Electric in 2015. Mark holds a BSc Honors in Earth Sciences and an MSc in Energy Studies and an MBA in Technology and Innovation. Mark?
Thanks, Mark, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm in Christina Lake, beautiful BC. It's 32 degrees here. So Mark Rabin, CEO of Portable Electric, and we are a Vancouver-based energy technology company, and we are innovating in mobile power. Our mission is to enable a regenerative future by transforming the way mobile power is delivered. A little bit about the opportunity. This is really an emerging e-generator market. Also, we're kind of colloquially known as the Tesla of generators. When we started looking at this market, it was initially a $32 billion gas and diesel generator market. And as we start to broaden that, it's out with military and utility space and natural resource sectors. It's around a $70 billion market that's 99% dominated by gas and diesel generators. So the huge opportunity here. It's an out of sight, out of mind market. So it's not top of mind, but all of the back end of our infrastructure is powered by temporary mobile power for off-grid applications. We're seeing this trend with industrial equipment, as well as EV trends, legislative and industry trends, in every single jurisdiction in the world has to address some of their issues on the streets in terms of pollution and climate technologies. So this is very timely. When we're looking at the company, we started in 2015. In 2018, 2019, we were cash positive. We actually did 2.3 million in revenues in 2019. Our first products to the market in 2016. So we did move fairly quickly and saw some pretty significant growth. We are a leader in the film and entertainment sectors, full certification. A little bit about our footprint. We are in 8 countries today. We've got some of the most amount of units in the e-generator space in the field, around 200 plus units. And we have a pretty significant impact where we reduce GHG emissions or get generators offline 1-to-1, as well as augment existing infrastructure. A little bit about who our customers are. As I mentioned, we are the dominating the film and live event sector for clean mobile power. With COVID and other issues, we also started to really have to look at other markets. And so we are actively in construction and utility. We actually have a pilot project right now with PG&E down in California to address medically vulnerable folks when they do power outages. The utility is responsible for keeping power for their medical appliances, such as respirators and dialysis machines. And we also see the municipal market as well. So lots of market opportunities for temporary and mobile power, especially in the clean energy, climate tech, clean tech space. So a little bit about our current product line. Right now we have our portable power space, which is our 2K and 5K, and then we have our 20 kilowatt mobile and up higher that dominates the diesel side. All of our equipment can be charged from portable solar. Our 5K is our most popular one that we sell. About 75% of our product line is around the 5K that we sell around the world. This can actually be charged from solar in around 2.5 hours, and also can integrate with generators and can be charged from the grid. Right now, we are currently fundraising. We're doing a pre-Series A. Before COVID, we were going in with a Series A, but we decided to scale back a little bit. So we're raising a minimum of 2 million, however, up to 5 million. You can see here, this is our next generation product line. We really looked at 4 years of deployment data, market information, customer feedback, and I've developed a product line here that's completely modular, intelligent, and interoperable. Ranges from a 5K, which becomes a 10K, as you see here, all the way up to, we can do an 80 kilowatt by 200 kilowatt hour. We also have a hybrid system, and we're currently in discussions with Ballard Fuel Cells to actually create a pioneering hybrid hydrogen system. Still early days in that conversation. However, there's definitely market appetite for that. The other side of things, that we also have a real-time telematics on here, which is basically an operating system for temporary mobile power. We've got a front-end web app for the user that can tell what's going on, where they're located, how much time's left, and a back-end fleet manager so we can get predictive analytics and real-time data on the equipment. So we're seeing that power as a service component to actually be one of the fastest growing parts of our business. So I thought this was this is more a discussion about technology. I didn't want it to be sort of a standard pitch. So I wanted to show some images of our products in the field. As I mentioned, we started our business by getting technology in the field, and that's very different from a lot of other clean tech and energy tech companies that spend time in the lab over engineering and not getting real-time customer feedback. So we do a lot of live event production, from running races to golf tournaments to live music. We've been at Coachella, we've worked with Live Nation, we've done a lot of activations in marketing. So lots of opportunities here. They're using a gas generator every event, everywhere you go. Disaster and emergency services is a big market for us. We can go completely off grid indefinitely. Our technology is good for 10 to 15 years. So you could actually set up an array and have it produce solar energy and consistently for all types of different applications, from communications to pumps and tools and fans here. This is actually us powering a major intersection at Seymour and Robson in Vancouver with the unit while they were doing a planned power outage upgrade. So lots of opportunities in this space, and we actually have a multi-year, multi-million-dollar quote out to the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center down in the Caribbean. So that's going to be a big market for us as well. As I mentioned, we're the leader in film. We actually had 10 units traveling around the world on the James Bond production recently, and it had such an impact on the production. The distributed energy changed the way that they filmed that production, and it made it into the movie. So the movie's coming out in November. You'll be able to see the unit in the garage when James opens up his garage to uncover his electric Aston Martin. Also, we do a lot of urban power. You can see here, this is the Scotiabank Half Marathon, but this is our equipment in the New York subway. There's lots of applications for confined spaces underground, including mining, many applications that you otherwise wouldn't be able to run a traditional gas or diesel generator. So there's some fun stuff here. We're looking also at a lot of EV charging. So mobile EV charging is going to become a fairly big industry. It's also very topical with the rise in electric vehicle and recharge anxiety or charge anxiety. We're seeing a lot of applications for remote areas, for remote EV charging. This is something that we're looking at, which is essentially a mobile EV charging. Is that my 7 minutes, Mark? Okay, give me one moment here. So yeah, mobile EV charging and also hybrid hydrogen, we're seeing it. So right now we're obviously fundraising, but we're also looking for strategic partners, always looking at procurement, co-development, and investment. So please come talk to me if you have any questions. Happy to answer them. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mark. Now we will bring back all of our panelists for the Inquisition, as we call it. We are really pleased to have today our guest moderator, Sean Peasman, a CFA and former technology company analyst who runs Sophic Capital, which specializes in helping technology companies access the public markets. I would also say to everyone online that if you're not currently getting Sean's newsletter, you absolutely should. Sean at sophiccapital.ca, you should sign up to get his newsletter. So Sean, over to you.
There we go. I think I'm off mute. Yeah, so great presentations, everybody. Thought they were very well done. So I guess just because you only had 7 minutes to talk about, try and jam in everything you do in your company and how much money you've raised, let's just kind of break down maybe where you started and just talk a little bit about your backgrounds and how you came up with the idea. And then, what motivated you to start the company. So just to make it easier, why don't we start with Simon, and then we'll go to Carlyn, and then we'll go to Mark to finish it off. Yeah. Okay. So let's go to Carlyn next, and then we'll go to Mark.
Sure. So basically, I started as a lifeguard when I was about 16. Was going through my undergrad and master's in engineering, and recognizing that our methods for rescue were just really archaic. Often my friends and I would talk about how terrified we were when you're lifeguarding outside of the lake. If you don't see a kid go under the surface, you don't really have a hope in hell in finding them. And that was a really awful thought to go to bed with every night. So I just thought there had to be a better way. And that's where this product was born from. So it's something that's really near and dear to my heart. I think the night that I chose to take the plunge was I was watching the news, and a 4-year-old girl had fallen off of a dock. Her parents were right there, and they couldn't find her. And that tragedy just shouldn't happen. So that's what we're working against.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay, great. So I started off my career as Mark mentioned, as a petroleum geologist in the oil business, and I just couldn't reconcile the amount of effort that we were putting in to drill for a barrel of oil and move it around, and then to only see 80% of that resource basically be wasted or consumed in a wasteful way. So we're really operating at about 20% productive efficiency on our general resource use. But I started getting into energy and really just started to devour everything I could about the energy transition and started to really see the writing on the wall, and transitioned into renewable energy in 2013. My first business was doing energy in Africa, small little portable power systems in South Africa, Namibia. And I really started looking at how humans were using electricity. If you give them a portable system, what happens then? What do they do with it? Where does it go? Came back to Canada in 2014 from that experience. And at that moment, starting in 2015, I realized that you could not rent an industrial grade renewable power system. And that was the moment I started looking around, and even the biggest shops in town, or United Rentals, the global companies, you could not rent a non-fossil fuel generator. And that's what started the exploration. And I started to uncover the power services, power rental market. And that's when I realized that it was minimum a $36 billion market that had never been disrupted since its inception about 70 years ago. So that's sort of a little bit of background. But overall, the last thing I'll leave you with on that is that any civilization intent on surviving would not be doing what we are doing today in terms of resource allocation. So I just, that's what drives me every day.
So second, maybe talk a little bit about kind of the key market trends, a little bit more about, what you're doing to drive adoption. Obviously, when you have new disruptive technology, there's either we're going to do nothing and change, we're going to do something the same way we've been doing it, or we're going to adopt a newer, better solution. So talk a little bit about kind of the adoption of the technology. Are you price competitive? Is it more, is it really the ESG theme for you, Mark? Or just kind of round out a little bit about how we think about the marketplace and how you're attacking it, and how you're differentiated from your competitors. And I guess we'll start with you, Mark.
No, thanks. So right now, when someone's not, renting or buying our equipment, they are going to a gas or diesel generator. So when people say, what's your competitor? Really, it's still gas and diesel generators, a huge chunk of that market. So comparative to that, we're always out there looking at the value proposition of our technology. It is a premium technology. It is more expensive, but we always say we're trading in dirty OpEx for clean CapEx. So your operating costs are near zero comparatively. But when we started to look at our users and what they wanted from portable and mobile power, it was really about, it had to save them time and money. It had to do something creatively that they otherwise wouldn't be able to do. And overall just had to be easier to use. That if we couldn't solve those problems, people don't really care about the environmental benefits. Once you prove that you can use this tech, and then it actually saves them money and lets them do things, then there's this internalized behavior change and workflow change around, oh wow, I'm actually making a difference. Someone, who'd been working in a film set, for example, for 30 years, all of a sudden says, hey, you know what? I can actually make a difference, and it's making my job easier. So that's kind of how we looked at the market initially, and how we're looking at other ways that we can really get the value of the technology. The next thing I'll say is just costs are coming down significantly, as we're seeing. Battery costs are coming down, electronics costs are coming down, and our manufacturing costs are coming down. So we're able to drive costs down in our next generation products. We're calling it the V2 platform. And so that's what we're raising capital as well, to develop that next generation technology for a more mass market appeal.
So yeah, how we compare to other technologies is it's pretty great. So most organizations are familiar with side scan sonar. That's probably the closest product that we can speak to them about to try to get them to understand how our product works. We hear it all the time. People are complaining that they're really difficult to use. Side scan sonar presents data in a way that you have to be working with it every day. So usually on every team, there's one individual who's comfortable enough to use that device while they're in the middle of a search, which is terrible. So our product is really simple to use. I forgot to mention, which is a huge mistake on my part in a tech talk, that our unit actually uses an element of AI to determine what underneath the surface of the water is a human and what isn't. So we've been building a database for over 2 years and training this algorithm to find the nuances in the sound signals coming back and actually figure out what type of object is it looking at. And that is huge for customers. Whenever they see this actually in action, they're amazed at how easy it is to use and how quickly they can locate people. They're also really accustomed to searching from a bird's eye view. And you can imagine if you have kilometers of area to search, if you have to traverse that either with a boat or from above in a helicopter, it takes an immense amount of time. Whereas the device we developed actually looks through the water. So the beam that comes out spans above and below, but very narrow. And so when you scan an area, you can scan 85,000 square feet in less than 5 minutes, something that would typically take a team hours to accomplish. And with a team, there's a much higher chance that you miss somebody as you're diving in and around the water. So that's one of the biggest things, is just how superior the technology is. The other thing is it's portable. So a lot of organizations can't afford boats. You also can't get boats everywhere you need to go. You can throw this thing in the back of your fire truck. You can take it in your bag as you're heading out to paddle. It's extremely portable and versatile. And then the cost is a fraction of the cost, as I mentioned before. So really, it's just about teaching and educating people that it exists, and letting them have that first aha moment about how well it works. The disruption is definitely getting there, but yeah, it's taking a bit of effort to kind of just teach people how they can do rescue a little bit differently than the really kind of archaic ways they've been doing.
Yeah, education is always key when you're bringing a new product to market, for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Great. Okay. So I think the question was on competitive advantage and what sets us apart, I believe, from other products. So the competitive advantage that we've had for 18 plus years with our M6000 product, and that will continue with the M6NG, is there's a couple big ones. One is the signal for the device, for the immobilizer, does not leave the vehicle. When you have a signal that leaves the vehicle, which most of the OEM immobilizers do, it can be easily hacked. When it's easily hacked, those that leave the vehicle, and the hacking of the key fobs. When you leave your key fobs at the front door, it's quite easily for a thief to come up to your front door and clone your signal and take the car away, as the car thinks that it has the key. So that's been the competitive advantage to the M6000. So the key fob leads to theft as well, being that the people leave their key fobs in their car. They forget, they don't need them with their push start vehicles to do anything. They forget it, they leave it in the car, and the thief already has the key when it breaks right into the car.
Yeah, so I guess let's talk a little bit about, the way you think about growing the company financially. So, there's a lot of trade-offs when you're starting a business to, grow revenue at all costs versus look to be profitable. So maybe each of you can talk a little bit about your philosophies around revenue growth, or are you really focused on profitability out of the gate? Obviously, this rolls into being pretty strategic around hitting milestones and when you're going to raise capital. So I guess we'll start with we can start with Mark, and then we'll go to Simon, and then we'll go to Carlyn on this one.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is a wild new market in terms of, we're seeing a lot of movement right now, discussions around Green New Deal and green change. It's no longer sort of greenwashing. It's actually, we need to figure this out. So for us, we've really looked at this as a bit of a land grab, and also truly, why do people buy new equipment? They trust the brand, they trust that it's going to work 100% of the time. We can't afford, something to crash and just, there's no reboot and just reinstall the app. It's industrial equipment. So for us, when we're looking at our growth strategy, it's really looking at markets that have also, California, for example, really a lot of incentive programs there, a lot of action going on. California's ground zero for new tech, energy tech, as well as the UK and Europe, beachhead market. with film and live events. That was our background. That was easy for us, and we're still going to continue to double down on that. However, in COVID times, we saw live events go to zero. Film industry has been on hold and trying to get going again. So what we did is we looked at markets that were not film traditionally shouldn't be really shouldn't be volatile, but other markets that even in times like this that are challenging, that are still need powers, like disaster relief, emergency services, military, construction, took a little bit of a dip, but still there, and utility space. So all of these are transitioning to new tech from aging infrastructure. So, we're looking at significant growth this year. We were planning on doubling and maybe tripling. We had a $11 million pipeline going into COVID, predominantly film and live events, and we started from scratch and rebuilding new pipeline in other markets. So, for us, it's really a land and expand strategy as well. Once we hit a market, we're going to double down on that.
Okay, great. Simon?
Sure, thanks. So we're a little bit different in the fact that obviously we've been profitable, we've gone through a product life cycle, and now we're looking at revamping and diversifying the company to take advantage of some market trends. So even though I think the revenue growth and profitability are pretty closely related, our focus is on revenue growth. We need a new commercial product in the market. So our strategy is now to complete our development and commercialization and realize our revenue growth to enhance our profitability.
Okay, great.
So as I mentioned, education is a huge part to us. So we're really trying to focus as well, I would say, on revenue growth, but we're acutely aware of the pandemic and kind of the volatility of the market right now. So we're taking every advantage we can. We have a lot of government grants that are helping us build new technology, which kind of allows us to, we've raised enough funds to get us to 2021. As I mentioned, we're trying to reach that 1.5 million mark. We're at 1.44. That, thinking even conservatively with sales, we should reach profitability within the next 2 years. At the same time, we do want to continue building new product. So we're leveraging grants and other things to kind of allow us to focus on product development at the same time, keeping that kind of safety net underneath us. But right now, the product we have, we need to make sure it's satisfying every customer's needs, that they're getting the support that they need so that they start talking about it. Firefighting and policing, it's a big kind of, they're very well-connected group, let's say. So when somebody likes a product, word kind of spreads very, very quickly. So we are more focused on just making sure that the product is everything they need it to be. So I know that's kind of a teeter-tottery answer, but we are trying to play both sides of that card just to make sure we're safe.
Very good. Sean, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying it'll be huge when the first child is saved by your product and it hits the newspaper, right? So that'll be a big day for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. Well, we're going to call a close. Thank you very much to all of our presenters, Simon Whitfield, Carlyn Loncaric, and Mark Rabin, and to our question moderator, Sean Peasman, for his time and expertise. Sean, thank you very much. And thank you to our attendees for your time today. Go to the company websites, learn more about these companies. If you have a lead for them, do connect directly. Now let's bring on James Black, Vice President of Canadian Securities Exchange, for closing remarks. James.
Yeah, once again, thanks everyone for your time. Thank you for the wonderful presentations and the information that you shared today. I will just redirect everyone to our CSE TV because that is where you can watch this presentation. The replay will be posted there probably tomorrow. And then we have previous Tech Tuesdays and obviously future ones. So make sure you follow us on CSE TV. Once again, we're back next week. We've got a public company showcase, and it'll be really interesting to see the difference between these private companies and the public ones. And we're looking forward to having you back here. Invite your friends. It's no cost to anyone. So what else are you going to do on a Tuesday afternoon? Once again, we thank you. CSE is honored to have everyone here, and we will see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend and enjoy the weather. Till next time.
Thank you.
Later.